Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content. I did not mean to leave you guys hanging for so long. My god, I'm so sorry. We had a hurricane, and it was absolutely wild. Our power got knocked out for 3 days. Hopefully now that I'm back, I can get into a rhythm, and we can get some videos uploaded. But anyways, today we're trying something a little bit different with r/WeeabooTales. Weeaboos, of course, being those people who are a little bit too far into Japanese culture without knowing enough about it. You've also got koreaboos, which are like weeaboos but for Korean culture, soshi bros, otakus. There's just a whole lot to cover, and I think the best way to do it is just to jump into the stories, head first. So get ready for that cringe, because here it comes. Some girl in my public speaking class did a whole presentation on her boyfriend from a dating sim. Yes indeed. Honestly, I forgot this sub even existed for a while, but this memory is literally seared into my brain. I still get secondhand embarrassment just thinking about it. So there was this girl in my public speaking class last year who's one of those weebs that really likes to broadcast it. Lots of anime hoodies and shirts, keychains and stickers of characters, and a backpack made to look like the costume of All Might from My Hero Academia. That's actually a pretty cool backpack. I'd wear that. She was a super senior who switched majors in her 4th year, so I don't know how she managed to afford it all. I'm something of an anime fan myself, so I know it's all probably overpriced as f***. Once she even came to class in what I think was either gothic Lolita dress or cosplay. It was lacy, purple, and way too small for her. Anyways, our first presentations were pretty chill. Just a get-to-know-you exercise, so the professor could gauge our skills. Most were pretty boring, I know mine was. I was kinda looking forward to the weirdos in the class, just to break the monotony. So homegirl goes up in all her glory, in a cat-eared hoodie with thumb holes. The first few slides were pretty heavy. She went into a lot of personal detail about a death in her family for a presentation to virtual strangers. Once everyone in the class was depressed and slightly uncomfortable, she switched slides from a single photo of her dead relative to a collage of pictures of this one white-haired anime boy. The size of the screen made each full body shot roughly the size of a body pillow, and each headshot the size of a car tire. She explained how he was her boyfriend from a dating sim called Mystic Messenger, and how she left her real-life boyfriend for him. She launched into this catalog of her ex's various flaws. He didn't appreciate her, he didn't support her, was dismissive of her feelings, never took her out on dates. Yeah, I'm sure the anime character takes you out on dates all the time. Then she started explaining how this fictional character was better in every way. He was sweet, he made her feel special, he asked her about her feelings, and on and on. She explained how this game is set up so that characters send texts to your phone, and how she got more excited to get texts from him than from her real-life boyfriend. She said she had developed actual feelings for this anime boy. The more she learned about him, because they had so much in common, and he's been through so much, but he's still so kind. She even talked about how she initially went after some other character, but he captured her heart with his mysterious past or whatever. God, I'm cringing so hard. The whole time she was using his name and speaking in the present tense like he was an actual person. About 10 seconds in, I had to look down at my desk and do breathing exercises because I was so embarrassed on her behalf. Everyone else had talked about their major or their service trips or being a student athlete, so we were in a class of the most normal people you can get. And they all looked absolutely baffled. Then she dropped the bomb that her ex was from high school, so she'd been virtually dating an anime boy for at least 5 years. Normally the class clapped after a presentation, but it was dead quiet. The professor said something about appreciating how candid she was, but she was half Japanese, and you could see the holy f***, are white people really like this lurking in her eyes. I never thought people like her actually existed outside of basements. It was honestly the most surreal thing that I have ever experienced. Oh man, the more I think about this story, the weirder it gets. You know, it all starts out with robotic text messages to your phone that make you feel like a real person is on the other end, and it all ends with a robotic penis. That's a terrifying future, and honestly I don't think it's that far down the road. Probably robotic vaginas will come first, just because, you know, it's a man's world, baby. But robotic penises are not far behind. You can quote me on that. I have definitely seen some like real basement virgin otaku types. Particularly one sticks out in my mind when I was in the Navy in Japan. Never left his room, only played the DS all the time. The one time that we talked, it was him telling me that he could hear me having sex. And I said, yeah bro, you should try it. Like I've mentioned before, I was kind of a douche in my Navy days. So my point is, I definitely know these people are out there, but to leave an actual real-life human in order to go quote-unquote date an anime boy, what, or girl, what are you doing? Dude, I go back to my point about the dates. Does the anime boy take you on dates? She probably does have a body pillow. What's it called? Dakimura? God, I know way too much about this stuff, but I still maintain my plausible deniability. Oh lord. Anyways, let's jump into the next story. The Weebsquatch. Yes. This one is just too good. First post on Reddit. Reading WeeabooTales inspired me to tell my own true story of living with a Weeaboo Sasquatch hybrid for 11 months. Note, the Weebsquatch never presented any of the typical mannerisms of a furry, animal alter ego, dressing in costumes, etc., and thus had a separate distinction as a half Sasquatch, half Weeaboo. FYI, it's a pretty long tale, but I've tried to condense it as much as possible. At age 19, I accepted a university scholarship in a city I had only ever been to once prior, and set out one fine summer day with two high school friends who had enrolled in the same university to meet with a potential landlord. We found an ad for 3 affordable rooms to rent in a house close to school. The girl, let's call her Hannah, renting the rooms, informed us that the house was her father's rental property, but she'd be on the lease with him as a landlord and would be handling rent payments and maintenance of the house while also living with us as a roommate. Hannah seemed cool, smart, and down to earth when we met her. After a nice chat, it seemed like we'd get along. We liked the place and agreed to sign a lease. It was a 5-bedroom house, and my two friends and I each rented a room for ourselves. We asked who would be occupying the remaining room that was unspoken for. Hannah told us it was to be rented out to Matt, not his real name, he'll come into this tale later, a physics student who was going into his first year of university. We'd be 5 freshmen living together away from home for the first time. Cool, right? Maybe. Moving day came, and my friends and I moved into our house about a month before classes started. Hannah was there when we moved in, but her room was in the basement, while my friends and I had the 3 main floor rooms, so we didn't see her for the rest of the day after she gave us keys and went to the basement. We met him the next day. He was Dominic, not his real name, the Weebsquatch. Half Weeaboo, half Sasquatch. This creature was clearly the result of the most unholy of unions. Dominic was 6'6", 300 plus pounds of blubber, and covered in enough body hair to clog even the cleanest drain, if he ever decided to take a shower. My shock and horror were complete when my friend and I witnessed Dominic, clad in dark eyeshadow, a spiked choker, and an anime shirt that I couldn't recognize that didn't conceal his belly, and also gym shorts, shambling up the basement stairs on the first full day in our new place. Still, I tried not to judge his odd fashion or makeup and greeted him. Hi, I said to Dominic.
Hi,
he replied, not making eye contact. Are you Matt? I asked, extending my hand for a handshaking greeting. The Weebsquatch ignored my gesture and walked past me to the fridge.
No, I'm Dominic, Hannah's boyfriend.
Having no other niceties to offer, and his bounty of refrigerated Mountain Dew in hand, the Weebsquatch shambled back to the basement. My friend and I agreed that Dominic smelled horribly, seemed weird, greasy, and antisocial, and it was even more peculiar that Hannah had never once mentioned Dominic to us prior to our meeting him. Furthermore, we wondered how an unkept beast like Dominic got a girlfriend like Hannah, a cute 5 foot, 110-pound girl of mixed Asian and Caucasian heritage. But for all our musings, we had no idea just how weird the living situation that we found ourselves in would become. It wasn't long until we discovered the Weebsquatch's dark basement lair. Like reasonable human beings, we believed that Dominic and Hannah would share a room, but this was not the case. Hannah took the downstairs master bedroom because it had an ensuite bathroom, while Dominic's room was the living room at the bottom of the basement stairs. If you look left at the bottom of the basement stairs, you'd see the Weebsquatch cave. And if you went right, you'd be in the hall leading to Matt's room, Hannah's room, a half bathroom, and a shared laundry slash freezer slash utility room along the way. The Weebsquatch's lair haunts me to this day. His basement living room had brown shag carpet and wood-paneled walls. All 3 windows were blocked with tinfoil, ratty pillows, black sheets, and duct tape, while 3 to 4 black sheets, crudely nailed to the ceiling, constituted privacy walls. The Weebsquatch's hoard was easy to see through the gaps in the sheets that were hastily and shoddily nailed to the roof by the creature, who was on the cusp of understanding and applying the use of rudimentary tools. Disorganized piles of manga, anime, and Gundam figurines, various video game consoles, computers, video games with Japanese titles, clothes with no dressers or hangers scattered about, a love seat, some computer chairs, a desk, and a shabby double bed were all packed into the living room so that there was barely enough space to walk between everything. Several more black sheets, many more nails, and a month later, the Weebsquatch's positioning and layering of privacy sheets finally closed off the cave from the view of a passerby. Dominic made no attempts to endear himself to any of the roommates in the house. What we learned of him was that he slept through most of the day and spent his nights watching anime, occasionally hentai. My roommates and I were all pretty sure that the cutesy-sounding moaning and screaming sounds coming from the basement were not Cowboy Bebop or some other anime. And playing his Japanese video games, all at inappropriately loud volumes late at night. I felt increasingly uncomfortable with Dominic's antisocial behavior the month before school started. He avoided everyone in the house, and when we did bump into him, he mumbled or grumbled in reply to our greetings, opting to speak in the language of Sasquatches rather than our native English. When invited to play Super Smash Bros. Or hang out, he'd grumble or say nothing, and then shamble back to his lair. On more than one occasion, when my roommates and I were gaming and having a few beers in the living room near the top of the stairs, we'd hear the ungodly sounds of Dominic and Hannah banging. It sounded like a huffing and puffing silverback gorilla rhythmically squeaking the springs and frame of a bed that can't handle the beast's weight. It's amazing how having nothing but sheets for a door makes sound carry through a house. Still, with days closing in until the start of school, we tried to laugh off the absurdity of living with a Weebsquatch. My friends and I didn't care that much for the loud anime, hentai, and Japanese video games that often disturbed our sleep because we were celebrating our freedom from our parents for the first time in our lives. Hannah maintained the appearance of being pretty cool for a little while after I moved in. She was awake in the day, exchanged normal niceties with roommates, left for parts of the day, and appeared to sleep at night like a normal person. Then school started. First year university is a stressful time for many people, but the stress of school and adapting to a normal human social setting seemed to affect the Weebsquatch and his mistress more than anyone else in the house. 1 month into the 8-month school year, they started fighting. Loud arguments always seemed to be coming from the Weebsquatch lair. The Weebsquatch's deep, throaty, seldom used voice contrasted with Hannah's high-pitched, almost squeaky voice, woke all the roommates up on school nights, and got more and more frequent and uncomfortable to listen throughout the year. The sounds of weeb entertainment also continued to emanate from the basement late at night, even though Dominic had classes during the day, and the sleep disturbances had become less bearable for the group of freshmen sharing the house with Dominic and Hannah. I remember when semi-frequent lovers' quarrels first degenerated into a full-blown mental health episode for Hannah. It started in the dead of winter, when on a frigid winter Saturday of -20 Fahrenheit, Hannah charged upstairs after a heated argument with Dominic, wearing only pajama shorts and a t-shirt, and while sobbing, she opened every window in the house for no apparent reason, put on a pair of boots, and left for a walk outside for about 20 minutes, having ignored my friend and me when we asked if she was okay. The entire spectacle all happened right in front of me while I was sitting at the kitchen table studying, and my roommate was on the living room couch watching a movie. Stunned, my friend and I exchanged glances, closed all the windows, and debated whether Hannah was silently hoping for someone to go after her so she didn't freeze to death. The Weebsquatch was playing some extra gross-sounding hentai videos for most of the time that Hannah was gone, and sure enough, she came back pale, blue-lipped, and shivering, and still managing the sort of sob that only a half-frozen person can. She once again ignored us completely when we asked if she was okay, opened up all the closed windows, and went to the basement to not be seen again for the rest of the weekend. I still can't understand why Hannah tried to freeze the inside of her dad's rental property. A silent cry for release from the bonds of her Weebsquatch captor, maybe? After that wintry drama, both Hannah and Dominic started taking their relationship woes and student stress out on all the other roommates in increasingly bizarre ways. Remember Matt, the physics student? His room was between Hannah's room and the Weebsquatch lair in the basement. Matt really had the worst of all the unpleasantness associated with living in that house. Every conversation, fight, depraved fornication, late-night hentai, and video gaming session sounded far louder to Matt than to anyone else. Oh, poor Matt. He also had to share a downstairs bathroom with Dominic, the Weebsquatch. Matt was getting fed up with Dominic before the fateful winter Saturday, and started seeking Dominic out to tell him to turn down the volume, be more respectful, and stop being such a mess. Unfortunately, Matt also made the mistake of calling Dominic a Sasquatch to his face. Dominic, being a few thousand years from evolving acceptable social skills for the modern age, began having some loud arguments with Matt in addition to Hannah, which mostly took place with Matt yelling into the Weebsquatch lair and the Weebsquatch yelling back but refusing to come out and face Matt, while Matt refused to enter the Weebsquatch cave. The growing tension and arguments made for a surreal and disturbing roommate experience throughout the winter. Hannah, for her part, started having sobbing mental episodes more frequently. Some notable ones included her calling a house meeting to scream at everyone that our dishwasher privileges were revoked. Screaming at me that the small, quaint sunroom in the house was quarantined and off limits, and that I'd be quote-unquote punished for using the room. Hazard taping off the small, completely safe back deck area where we had barbecues, and for no apparent reason other than spite, pulling the faucet off of the functional small sink in the half bathroom that Matt had shared with Dominic. For 2 painful weeks, my 2 friends, Matt and I, all had to share the upstairs master bathroom with the Weebsquatch, while the downstairs sink was allegedly being repaired by Hannah's father. In one particularly disturbing incident, I was talking on the phone with a classmate I used to study and complete assignments with, and I invited him to come over and work on an assignment at my place. Hannah was eavesdropping on my conversation, came out of nowhere, and yelled at me that it's not my place. The house belonged to her and her father, and I was not allowed to refer to the house as my place. Jesus Christ. The worst thing was that most of us saw Hannah's increasingly erratic behavior as a cry for help, but because she was our landlord, and increasingly alienating towards everyone, we could only try to avoid her. By spring, with the end of the school year approaching, tensions were high between pretty much everyone. My friends and I were no longer having a good time living in a house with Hannah and Dominic, and we still had a few months left on our lease. Hannah was restricting our access to appliances and areas in the house that we had once enjoyed, and the feeling of being trapped was shared between me, Matt, and my 2 friends. On a school day at the end of the year, I came home to find Matt, along with one of my friends, packing their things and getting ready to move out. It was nothing personal towards me, my friend assured, but that morning the Weebsquatch had approached them, bizarrely accused them of theft, though he wouldn't say what was missing, and personally, without Hannah being present, issued eviction notices to Matt and my friend. The eviction notice explicitly mentioned theft, and was signed only by the Weebsquatch's clumsy hand, so they had gotten in touch with Hannah's father, threatened him and Hannah with a lawsuit, clawed back their damage deposit, and scouted out a new apartment to move into within the week. Matt and my friend warned that similar notices had been waiting for me and my other friend, but they had intervened with Hannah's father. Gee, thanks, buddy. Who was at the moment at his home having a very serious discussion with Hannah and Dominic about the eviction stunt. It remains a mystery whether anything was ever stolen, or if Dominic was simply as sick of living with everyone else as we were tired of living with him and Hannah. The most victorious interaction I ever had with the Weebsquatch occurred in the same evening. The Weebsquatch, berated and torn down by his girlfriend's father, returned that evening looking utterly rejected. The younger, cockier 20-year-old me, angered by the events of that day, played dumb and told the Weebsquatch when he came back home, with Hannah and her father closely following behind him, that I heard he had some sort of document for me. Then, in a great evolutionary leap, with a tear forming at the edge of his eye, the Weebsquatch tried to scowl at me, while attempting to process the complex emotion of shame with his primitive brain. He said not a word, but bowed his head and slinked off to the depths of his lair to lick his wounds and understand the frightening new emotions that he had encountered that day. This guy's writing is killer. Hannah and her father apologized to me for the drama, but Hannah's father, being all business, reminded me that one friend and I were still under the terms of my lease for another 3 months or so, and he had only negotiated to release Matt and my other friend from their lease agreements. After the eviction incident and the subsequent intervention by Hannah's father, the Weebsquatch gained some small level of civility. Over the next 2 months, the Weebsquatch learned how to use headphones, and the basement became deathly quiet, though I'm sure he continued his nocturnal lifestyle of watching and playing with all his favorite Japanese content, not grooming himself, wearing smoky eye makeup and a choker with ill-fitting anime shirts and gym shorts. I'm pretty sure that the eviction incident broke up Hannah and Dominic for good, but I'm not certain. Hannah finished classes, left one day, and only returned to get the rent payments. After everything was cleared up by her father's Deus Ex Machina intervention, my remaining friend and I resumed using the sunroom, dishwasher, and deck again, but the damage of Hannah's outbursts was done, and we felt like unwanted guests in our leased home. My friend and I finished classes and rented a new place together, happily forfeiting our damage deposits to leave 1 month early. We spent a total of 11 months living with the Weebsquatch and his mistress, and I still laugh to myself and shake my head sometimes when I remember the time that I endured living in that deranged house. TLDR, Weeaboo Sasquatch hybrid people do exist. I lived with one who kept a mentally unstable human girl in a dark basement in a dark basement cave as his captive lover. The antisocial and nocturnal hybrid, referred to as a Weebsquatch, enjoyed playing his hentai and anime too loud, making life uncomfortable for everyone who shared the house with him. Oh, damn, dude, that is just some good stuff. I need a dose of that, like, way more often. That I love the whole story. God bless it. I could go on about how banning tenants from household appliances is way outside legal regulations, but that's not the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is the Weebsquatch. I hope that Hannah ended up okay. Definitely hope she broke up with that dude and started doing better for herself, you know. She's definitely a little bit off her rocker to run out of the house in negative 20-degree weather and to even date a Weebsquatch in the first place, but we all make mistakes, especially when we're young, you know. We're trying to find ourselves, and she probably saw this giant hairy mess and she's like, I can fix him. Pro tip, you can't ever fix him. You can make some patchwork repairs, but he'll never be truly fixed. That goes for myself too. My wife will tell you. Anyways, friends, I hope that you enjoyed these stories. Let me know if you dig r/WeeabooTales. We got nice guys, we got neckbeards, there's incels out there. There's just like this entire melange of cringy internet culture that we haven't even touched on yet. Although entitled parents is probably my favorite thing, so we're going to get back into that quite soon. But I hope that you did enjoy this episode, friends, and if you did, I hope that you'll like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our links in the description to Twitter, Discord, Patreon, and as always, a big shout out to all of my patrons. The list is growing so fast. So a big shout out to Mr. Weasel, Radimus, Cisco, Lady Nix, Nico the Legend, Damon Darkstar, Crimson Albedo, and the newest Nathan. Thank you to those 7 beautiful people helping me to live the dream. If you would like to help me live the dream as well, Patreon is suggested, and we've got some pretty cool reward tiers. But even if you can't afford the Patreon, the channel is growing so fast, and I thank you guys way more than I could ever say for supporting me in that way. In the end, that is the most important thing, is you guys listening along with me, so thank you so much for your time. I will be back again quite soon. No more hurricanes on the horizon. Although that last one, the fucker came out of nowhere. But anyways, I've rambled enough, friends. Back again tomorrow with some more r/entitled parents. I hope you enjoyed r/Weeaboo stories. Please don't forget to wash your hands and keep yourself safe out there. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, friends, bye-bye.